facing power, you have to play chess.
Absolutely.
And that means you're going to have to use a variety of tactics and strategies to address the issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think this
brass knuckle chess.
Brass knuckle chess. I think this is really well captured in the film Gandhi. In the 80s film in 1980 with Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
When he is in the midst, I think this is it's been a while since I've seen it. This is in like one of the South Africa sequences, and he's staring down the British colonial governor of South Africa, and he is just successfully, I believe this is the moment, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
He's successfully staring down this guy. They had just finished with his protest for the identity cards, and Gandhi was like burning them along with all of the other protesters.
Yeah.
And the British guy comes in, okay, we'll stop the identity cards, but we're not giving you this, we're not giving you this, we're not giving you that, because I know you all want all that stuff, but we're only taking away the identity cards. And Gandhi sits back and he says, well, the identity cards was the issue on which we focused. And then he took the victory, turned around, and the next day started protesting the next issue.
Yeah.
So one by one, he addressed one issue at a time.
Absolutely.
And he focused. And a lot of the problem with a lot of leftist politics these days is we're all over the place. We are scattershot. And so
you sent me a video the other day.
From the Doom Scroll
podcast. And I thought it was interesting in a lot of ways. And I didn't agree with everything every point they made.
As no one should agree with anything everyone says anyway. Have your own damn mind.
Absolutely. That's a great point. But I did think that they made some interesting points about the tactics that leftists use and the fact that we might focus too much on identity politics in lieu of actual structural fixes to broad swaths of problems. Like, problems facing most people happen to do with, since we live in a capitalism, lack of resources, monetary resources, and lack of access to health care.
Right.
And I think focusing on either of those, like a UBI for everyone, not just for the poor, for actually everyone.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, we were back from tacos. We were
getting tacos. It's got to be for everyone, even billionaires.
Even billionaires.
It's got to be for everyone, or else it causes conflict.
Guys, there aren't that many billionaires,
and they're not even going to notice.
And they won't even fucking notice. Like, if billionaires are getting an extra $50,000 a year, but everybody else is getting $50,000 a year, that's good for everybody else. Billionaires won't even fucking care, and we can't be like mean about it. Like, they don't need it. They got billions of dollars. But if you have to employ guys, and I mean guys in the gender neutral sense that we use in Colorado and most of the West, if you have to employ people to like sit there and determine, well, this person doesn't get it because they're over the threshold, and this person doesn't get it because they're like not working enough or something like that, it's not going to work as a fix. It has to just be simple to the point of like, it takes a dozen people to administer it nationwide, you know?
And not only that, if the goal of all the identity politics work that we do, of trying to get people rights, if the goal is giving everyone dignity, then what do we do? Fixing poverty is giving everybody the opportunity to dignity. And if you say everyone gets this thing condition-free, that's dignity.
Yes, exactly.
And so, you know, we have to really work more towards how do we fix the problem and focus less on, okay, I need to get my cause addressed. And that doesn't mean we don't address those causes, by the way.
No.
But it means if we're trying to find a unifying principle to fight back against a wannabe fascist, then the way that we do that is to make sure that everyone gets dignity and everyone gets their basic needs met.
I know.
That's where we begin.
They're trying to come at DEI because they want, because one, it's kind of a nebulous concept to a lot of people. Obviously, we all know what DEI is here, but like in broad swaths of the country, people are like, DEI, what's that? That's the reason I didn't get that job, probably, you know? And it's like an easy thing to blame, but it's like also kind of, when you think about it, it's like a little nitpicky fix. And it's also an industry that consultants like it's like a $3 billion industry every year.
It's
It's kind of bullshit when you really think about it. Like it's built on a house of cards. It's built on like people having to do like hiring equity from like the 60s where they just like made up all the protocols, like, and corporations in the fucking 60s. It's like Procter and Gamble came up with half the DEI shit we.
I was about to say, it's kind of like the carbon footprint idea that Exxon... So someone came up with this carbon footprint idea, or someone came up with what they used to... It was called affirmative action for a while before it was called DEI, right? So they come up with these concepts, and they say, if we do this, we can't get sued. Or we can redirect the focus where we're not actually addressing the structural issues of corporate inequality and lack of pay and all this stuff.
DEI is just corporations don't want to get sued.
And I also, like, I'm saying all this as a person who's done DI consulting and also as a person who's taught diversity, equity, inclusion in college classrooms. But, like...
Diversity and equity and inclusion are all great things. Mm-hmm. But a DEI program in your company is not going to fix racism. It absolutely will not fix racism.
And it doesn't fix inequality.
And it doesn't fix inequality, and it doesn't fix, like, lack of inclusion for people. But, as Michael so astutely pointed out, if you want to, like, actually, like, fix the results of racism and lack of equity and lack of inclusion, a UBI is a pretty good start to that. Mm-hmm. Because you're giving people enough money to live on in a way that like gives them dignity. Mm-hmm. So they don't have to they don't have to do all kinds of shit. They don't have to do anything that Jay-Z talked about in his first 3 albums, you know? They don't have to stand on a corner and hustle to get by. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to see that out in the world. But that's what people have to do to provide for their family. So if we want to fix the fucking drug problem, if we want to fix gang violence that actually does exist, not the kind of gang violence that everybody's talking about in the 90s that was mostly fucking media bullshit to fund police departments and stuff like that. Yeah. If you want to fix, like, you know, the problem of people like not feeling like dignity in their jobs, so they go out to the bar and have too many drinks with their friends and then go home and beat people, like, fucking UBI, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
And there's a lot of research going on different UBI experiments. The results have been fantastic so far.
Crazy.
So I definitely encourage that. I also encourage, if you want to look at history of work and labor and how we got to this kind of weird managerial class sort of situation, I would read David Graeber's book, Bullshit Jobs. It's a well worth a read. The last chapter starts to cover UBI. He didn't really get into great depth with it. He just says, "Hey, go check out this research on UBI. Here's some research."
And the research was like pretty new when he was writing that book.
Right. He's writing this in like 2014, 2015. So yeah, I think we need to play chess with stuff. So like you have to think about what are the issues in your community. How can you pull together as a community and solve them, right?
Absolutely.
And this is what happens with the book. Like, he's like, what is the linchpin of this whole British Empire? In this particular world, it's the silver bars.
Absolutely.
Right? So what is that? What can we pull? We can pull the pin.
It's an unlikely alliance, too, between labor activists and anti-colonialists.
Yeah,
you know?
Because in the beginning, actually, they hate all the labor people. Like, he throws an egg at Robin or something. Or
at Victoire.
At Victoire.
Yeah.
Because they're scholars, right?
Yeah.
And Victoire.
And they see the scholars, rightfully so, as supporting and reinforcing the system that is taking their dignity away from them by taking their trades and turning them into jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it's like before there was a trade that they were an expert at, and they might be the best one in their county, or they might have studied under the guy that came up with this new technique, and that gave them prestige and a means to provide for their family. And they were like an artisan, and then all of a sudden now it's mechanized, and it's like chopping people's limbs off for efficiency's sake and shit like that, you know? So they're rightfully pissed off at these, like, you know, there's this old like dichotomy in a lot of like college towns where there's like the gowns and the townies, you know,
Mhm.
and so the townies were, you know, throwing eggs at the people in the gowns, and yeah, all the students are like, oh, these guys over here, but they're the first ones to come to their aid when they're like, hey, our objectives align with each other. You guys are trying to fuck up the
Right.
silver industry, and we want that too. So
Which tells you that like you may have allies
that you don't know about.
that you don't know about that
Yeah.
are in unlikely places who maybe have very different politics, who might be somewhat bigoted in some circumstances,
Or
like,
maybe just like short-sighted.
or just
something.
maybe short-sighted, or just sincerely ignorant. And I think it's so, and I tell this to my students all the time, it's so important to make the distinction between sincerely ignorant, as in they were just never taught, versus willful ignorance. The willful ignorance is the problem. That's the person who's been taught and they double down on their ideology.
Like Letty.
Like Letty, right? So Letty had the opportunity to grow as a person and side and be on the right side of things, and instead she doubled down in her ignorance.
Couldn't let go of wealth and privilege.
Right, she couldn't let go of all of her ideas, and that's, I mean, we make our ideas into our prisons.
Yeah.
Even, you know, it doesn't matter what side, where you're coming from. If your idea is a prison and you're never able to, there's no mutability of your idea, no ability to see what's going on in the situation, you can't play chess.
Yeah.
You get stuck.
Absolutely.
If you say, I will never work with this person because they think XYZ, then you have already given up the game. You throw the chessboard on the ground.
Yeah,
You
they
said,
hurt my
"Forget it."
feelings 3 years ago when they said this thing
Right.
that I didn't agree with.
This is all like Victoire is like, you're the person who threw the egg at me, and he's like, yeah, sorry about that. We didn't understand that you guys were on the same side of us. We want to do this thing together.
And Victoire's like,
She's like, cool,
yeah.
because like, what's the point of holding that grudge?
Absolutely.
What use would that make?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.